All right, welcome back, everyone. This is the first episode of our new series. This is going to be an RPG tiny adventure series, an action adventure game. So this series is going to be a bit unique in the sense that there will be a bit more teaching. I will do my best to actually teach and not just code and then have you follow along. So my goal is to actually help you learn a little bit more in our journey of making this game together. So I still think there is a lot of advantage to making a game together. However, I'm going to try to make it a bit more classroom oriented in a sense. So the first thing I want to bring up is this game dev process I've kind of made. Um, I've kind of thought of it on my own. I didn't really take it from anywhere. But step one is research, and then planning, implement, and ideate, and then all over again. So this is kind of the process I go through in my head, whether it's to solve a problem, whether it's to start the game, whether it's literally anything I do inside of game dev. So I'll give you a quick example. So when I want to create this series, for example, the first thing I'm going to do is research. So this can be anything research related. So I'm going to research the game type. So is it a real-time strategy game? Is it a sandbox game? Is it a shooters game? Just the other day, I released a poll asking if you guys want to do platformer, RPG action, or something like that. So that was my research. And I also research and look for sprites that you guys can use for free. So that's the research section of it. The next part is planning. Planning, I personally tend to skip over quite a bit, but planning is important. It does happen regardless of if you write it down, regardless if it's in your head, regardless if it's one little thought. Even if you think like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then in between this planning section and implement, in between 1 and 3, you plan out what you're going to do. Okay, what's my next move? Okay, well, I'm going to create a project. That's still planning, right? So in your head, you're still planning something out. And then implement is, implement and actually doing it. So let me think, okay, I'm going to make this series. That's my research. I'm going to use this asset, whatever. I'm going to now plan it I'm going to hit record. I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to talk about this, this, and that. And then I'm going to implement. So implement is what I'm doing right now. I'm actually doing this. And then ideate would be after this. It would be if I'm stuck on something or if I don't know what to do, I have to brainstorm. I start going like, okay, what am I going to do next for this next video? How am I going to solve this problem, etc. And I just loop all the way back around, right? So I kind of like this process. I've never really thought about it until now. I've never written it down until now. So this is the process I think I do. Um, I will see if I can encourage it throughout the series. But it's really hard for me to promote this, especially when I'm not exactly a teacher. I'm not certified or anything, but I do think this can help, especially if you don't have a certain process that you do right now. So if you're completely new to this, I would definitely recommend you try this. If it's not for you, that's okay. It's not for you. But if you're completely new to this, I want you to try to keep this process in mind, and I'll try to bring it up every now and then. Okay, next thing I'm going to just comment on is I'm going to be using these 4 assets for our game. So this one is a tiny adventure pack. This one isn't part of it. It is the players. It's an updated version. This is going to be the font, and this is going to be the UI. All right, so let's create a new project. We're going to create 2 devs. Browse. I'm going to put it on my desktop. I'm going to name it first. Tiny Adventure YouTube. I'm going to make it 2.0, create folder, and create an edit. And then I'm going to create a new folder in here, and I'm going to name it art. And I'm just going to grab all my assets. Oops. And I'm going to put it in here, into that folder. All right. Next thing we're going to do is, I can't save anything because I didn't make anything. So we're going to make a 2D scene. Let's make a 2D scene. That's fine for now. We'll name this main menu. And then in our project settings, we're going to just edit a few things. We're going to go to Windows. We're going to, let's divide this by 3. And then what we'll do is we'll do 640 times 250 for test. And then down here, we're going to do 2D and keep, and we'll keep it landscape. And that is it. All right, let's play. Select current. Okay, I don't like that test size. Let's make it a bit bigger. Let's do 100 for that. No. Okay, let me reset it. Hold on. Divided by 3. Was it 600? Divided by 3, yeah. And then divided by 3. And then what we'll do is we'll do this and 600. All right, now let's play and see what we got. Okay, awesome. I got a relatively small screen here. The reason I made it that small is because our asset pack is actually pretty small. So yeah. Okay, one thing I actually forgot to do is I'm going to actually delete all this, and I'm going to go to import. I'm going to drag in my Godot thing. I'm going to go to preset, 2D pixel, re-import. I'm also going to go back here to preset, set as default for texture, and then let's drag in our assets once more. I forgot to do that. All right, now we should have non-pixelated things, unless it did not work. Okay, interesting. Okay, let's delete all this again. Let's go back to here. Okay, this is 2D pixel, re-import, set as default. Okay, that should work. Let's try one more time. Drag in the GUI. Interesting. It's weird that it's blurry. Okay, that's okay. What we can do is we can just re-import it in there. All right, let's delete those two. Now, we don't need that, but what we can do in the bit, in the font real quick, we can create new resource. We can search up font. We're going to make a dynamic font and create, and we're going to name it mini pixel. And we're going to double click this guy, and on the right, on the right, we're going to go to font. We're going to drag in this guy, or not. Ooh, I think this one is just the font. Let me check. Ooh. New resource, yeah, bitmap, okay. Okay, now I think what we can do actually is just go into font, theme, art, font. Ooh, interesting. I'm not sure if we can use this font. I might have to find another one. I will do that off stream after, but for now, that's okay. We'll minimize that. We'll actually delete this completely. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a panel. And then we're going to add a button. And for those who are just starting off with Godot, I'll try to go over everything I do. So a panel is just a panel essentially, and it's something that has no interaction. It's just a straight up like background. I tend to use it as a background. You can also shape it. It has a lot of cool themes that we can add to it. Sorry, we're not going to go into theme. What we're going to do is I'm going to theme overrides. We're going to go into styles. We'll do panel, click that. New style box flat. And as you can see, the color change. So if we click into it, we can now edit the color. So what I'll do is I'll do a light blue. And a button is kind of self-explanatory. It's just a button. I'm going to type play in it. And in our node, I'm going to rename this to main menu. And I'm going to add a script to it. We're going to save it into our main folder. And I'm going to delete all this code except for the extends node2d. And then in our button, we're going to rename our button to play button. And we're going to go to node. We're going to connect pressed into our main menu. And then in our button, we're going to do get tree. dot get not get change scene to what. However, we don't have another scene to change to, so we can't change to that other scene yet. So we're going to make a scene. We're going to make a 2D scene. We're going to name it to world. We're going to save it, and we're going to save it in here. And then what we can do is go back to our main menu, and we can now add our world. There we go. And in our world, what we're going to do is we're going to quickly add a player, just so we can kind of see that we've changed scenes. Awesome. So there's our player. I think what we'll do is we'll actually, I'll spend the next few minutes. Let's go through the process. So let's research. What do we usually want in an RPG? Well, you can think of a bunch of things. You might think of things that I might never think of. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think of, okay, what's an RPG usually have? What's the first thing that pops up when I press play? Well, usually it's a character select system. So let's do that. We'll make a character select system. That's going to be my research section of it. The research part of this, I've actually planned this out already. The research part of this is kind of done because I've found an asset pack that has a few different characters. So as you can see, there's a bunch of characters here. They all have different animations. They all have different skin colors. I think only one of them is female. Oh no, two of them is female. So you have female, two females, three females. Here we go. Okay, yeah. So we have one of each. So we have this one, we have this one, and then we have this one. All right, female, male, female, male, like skin color, different skin colors. Awesome. So we have a bunch of different asset sets that we can use for our character selection. So now we have to plan it. All right, so let's think about this. How are we going to make a character select? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually make a new scene for it because we don't want this character select to be in our world. We're going to have a just different scene for it altogether. And we'll make it a 2D scene. And we'll call this character select. And save. And we'll save this. And we'll actually delete all this and then save it. Close our world for now because we don't need that. And in our character select, what we'll do is let's plan out how are we going to have the player or the person actually playing the game choose a player. So, well, the first thing we want to do is most likely we're going to want to make a few variables to hold which player we've chosen, right? So let's go into our script. No, not script. Let's close all this. And in our res, we're going to create a new folder called global. And in our global folder, we're going to have global variables. So we're going to go into global. We're going to do new script. We'll do game.gd. And that's just like what I like to name my global script usually. I'm going to go to project settings and go into auto load. I'm going to load that script, add, and now our script is global. So anything I add in here will become global. So I'm going to delete all this. I'm going to name it variable player. What do we call it? Image, no, select. Yeah, we'll just do player select. Awesome. Next thing we're going to do is, well, I kind of want a background, so let's add a panel. This is kind of unplanned, but let's just add a panel to make it look a bit nicer. We'll change the theme override to stock file black, and I'll just make it, like grayish. And then in front of here, so okay, let's plan this out together. So what I want to do, okay, so we're still planning. What I want to do, here's my plan. I'm gonna. It's hard because I visualize it, and then I'm gonna try to explain it to you so that way you understand what the plan is going to be. So my plan is to basically, you know what? Let's bring out paint. Okay, so this is going to be my visualization for you guys. So essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to have a button here. This is our button, and we're going to have a little stage essentially with our player. that shows our player. And then we will have a button on the bottom that says select, right? And essentially what's going to happen is each player is going to have a certain variable attached to them. So let's say the male or one of the males is 0. The next male, different color, is 1, etc., right? So this is going to be our plan. We have ... all the way to 6 because, or no, all the way to 5 because we have 6 different characters to choose from. All right, so the first thing we can do is we can actually add a animated sprite. And in this animated sprite, what we'll do is we'll create a new sprite frame and go into here. And now this is super simple. What we'll do is we'll do player 0. We'll add a few. And what we'll do is have player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4, and then lastly, player 5. Awesome. And now in our tap anim, we're going to go into here and, oh, interesting. I don't know. I guess it's because it's underscore. Change that. All right, character 1 will go into here. We'll add this guy in. Nope, we're not going to do that because it's not proper. So let's go into art, animation, anim, character 1, and we're going to take this guy. And we're going to zoom in by control and zooming in. We're going to select all of them. And now what we should have is if we go to our animated sprite, go to playing and play player 0, we can see our player rotating. And what we can do is we can slow it down a little bit. So we'll do 2 FPS. And then we can also scale it by 2 to make it a little bigger. And now let's go to player 1. Let's go back, character 2 is select all of them. And we're just going to do this for each one. Whoop. Player 3. Go to character 4. And so now, not yet, sorry, it's just taking a second. Let's go here. Here we go. Oops, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Delete that animation. Go to player 5. And let's add the last one. Don't want to forget anyone. Select all of them and add them all. And now let's just change the FPS to 2 for all of them. Because 5 FPS is a bit fast. Okay. Awesome. Now, what we can do is name this player select, and we'll save it. We'll create a new script in our player select GD. And what we'll do is we're going to remove all this. And what we'll actually do for now is we're going to need 2 buttons, right? So in our here, we need 2 buttons. So we're going to add 2 buttons. It's up to you what kind of button you want to add. If you have certain buttons you want to add, that's fine. I'll just add 2 regular buttons for now. So this will be left. I'm going to duplicate this, rename it to right, drag it to the right, rename it to right, name this one to left. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this to pressed. I'm going to connect it to player select. I'm going to go to character select. Oops. All right, and I just connected both signals to our node. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do game.player select plus equals 1. And then we will do the same thing with the left. Whoops. But what we're going to do is on the left, first thing is we're going to do minus. We're going to check to see if it's smaller, no, if it's bigger than 0. Because we don't want it to get any smaller than 0. And then in here, we don't want it to be any bigger than 6. So we only want it to get to 6. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a process function. Process function, here we go. And we will simply match our player select. And if it's 0, what we'll do is we'll get node player select, and we'll do dot play player 0. And then we'll have one for each. What I'll do is actually just copy paste this a few times. Do 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now if I play, I have to actually click this one because there's no way to getting that player select. We have our player. If we click right, it won't work because what is happening? Here we did not have it equal to anything. All right, let's go one more time. Right, 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 right. I can go all the way to the right. This is our last player. If I go left, it should change my player. Awesome. So that's how we change it. What we can do is we can also add a label to make this a bit more interactive. We can add a label, and in our label, it'll be description. We'll name it des, and in here, what we'll do essentially is have gender. Ooh, that is very big text. We'll actually drag that out. Yeah, we'll just have it right there. We'll have gender, and then we'll also have hair color. And then I'm going to go into our player select. I'm going to go into each one of these things. I'm going to do get node dot s dot text equals. Can I do that actually? Let's find out. Ooh, no, it won't. Okay, so we have to actually do that manually in one line. So our gender will be male here. Hair color is black, I think. Let me double check. All right, the first one is dark blue. And then what we can do is basically just do that for each player. And we can add that. And let's finish off the other 2 that we have. So we have 5. We have up to player 5, right? That's it. Yeah. So we actually have to delete this last one. And then I think every second one is female. So we'll do that. Female. Female. There we go. Now let's launch. And every time I click, it'll give me a little description of each one. Female, dark blue, and we can kind of change it so that we have that stuff. All right, next thing we're going to do is in our main scene, last thing we're going to do is in our paint, we have the select button, right? So we have one more button we want to add. I want to add a button. Let's go up to the button, add that button, select, and what we can do is we can take all this. So in order to select more than one node, what you can do is select like this des, and then go down to the right and hold shift, click, and it'll select all of them. And I can now just move all of them at the same time. Makes my life a lot easier. And then I will also lock my panel in. So on the top, we can lock it in, and that'll help us lock. And our button, select, we're going to call it select. We're going to go to node, pressed, click. And in here, what we'll do is later on, we'll actually save the game. We don't have any save or load functions yet, but we'll add that in the next video maybe. But for now, because we already selected our game, we don't have to edit anything. But now what we can do is just get tree. No, not get transform. Get tree dot change scene to world. And then let's change our main menu to, whoops, character select. There we go. So now if we launch our game, we click play, we have our character select. So we select our character, right? And we select, and we go to our main world. There we go. All right, awesome. So we now have a kind of working game. We started off with player select. Um, Next video, we'll plan everything out again together. If you have any suggestions that you want to plan out with me, put them in the comments down below and I'll take a look at them. But until then, I will see you guys next time.